Welcome to the Money Over 50 podcast, brought to you by Dallas Davison and Michael Hogue from Money Over 50 Financial Advisors. This information is general in nature and does not take into account your objectives, financial situation, or needs. Therefore, you should consider whether the information is appropriate for you and your personal circumstances. If you require personal advice, please contact Money Over 50 Financial Advisors. Here are your hosts, Dallas Davison and Michael Hogue.
Welcome to Money Over 50 with Dallas and Michael. Dallas, what topic you have today? Living on the age pension right now in 2021, you're living a better lifestyle compared to being a king 500 years ago.
Thanks, Michael.
Wow.
This is a real shower topic. We often talk about thoughts that you have in the shower when your mind is just rolling off. And I was just thinking about this morning having a shower. And I was going, like, a warm shower is a fairly exceptional thing throughout human history. And so my point here, or my thesis here, is that living a subsistence lifestyle or living on the age pension now is better than being a king 500 years ago. There are so many things that we take for granted or that we just have that we go about our normal day-to-day life that even the richest or most powerful person 500 years ago did not have access to those things. And, you know, this would probably be another one of those podcasts where I'll rant for 5 minutes and then that'll be the end of it. But it was just a thought that I had, and it's I guess one. There's no real action items from today other than
there is.
What?
We can throw our hands up in the air and say, "What's the point of it all? like why bother retirement saving? Let's just go and blow all of our money. I'm going to stop listening to Money Over 50 podcasts. I'm going to stop worrying about my retirement.
Well,
I'm just going to aim for the age pension." Because I'm living better than
a king
500 years ago. So.
Well, my point here is not to say you should just try to live on the age pension, but it's to say I think there's a lot of existential angst that goes on in our modern world about money, and we've talked about this before. It's like either fix your money problems or don't, but don't just worry about it. So if you're doing everything you can to put yourself in the best possible position at retirement. And I see this a lot with people where they might have made some poor choices in the past and they're maybe not in the position at 55 that they could be or that they would like to have been. And when you say, look, this is where you're going to be on track to be at about age 65, they're always happy that they're taking action and they're doing everything they can. But I think there's a part of them that goes, oh, I should have been better off than this, or I should have been, my next door neighbour's better off than me, or my brother-in-law, they seem to they're going to have a better retirement than me. And it's easy to get caught up in that. And I think that's what we all do, is compare ourselves. We compare ourselves to not just the people around us in our own era, but we compare ourselves to the richest people in our own era. We watch the news and you see Jeff Bezos is worth this amount of money and Elon Musk worth this amount, and then even looking around town, you don't notice the guy driving along next to you in the busted old Camry, which is probably me, by the way, but you do notice someone who's driving along in a sports car, and you think, oh, everyone else seems to have these things that I don't have. And I think one of the maybe my only action item from today is to have a think about every time you find yourself comparing your lifestyle to other people who maybe have more money or will have more money in their retirement. Stop thinking about that and think about living as a king 500 years ago. So let me list some of the things I thought about this morning that we just take for granted that even a king didn't have 500 years ago. So a hot shower or a warm shower or running water in general. It's pretty exceptional that we just turn the tap on and water just comes out and it's clean, and we never have to think about, has there been, is someone laying siege to us outside and shooting dead animals into our water supply? We know we have clean running water at all times. We've got ice for our drinks without a moment's notice. We've got a refrigerator that keeps everything cold. We never have to worry about food going off. In fact, it's the opposite. We can afford so much food that we fill our fridge up, and then sometimes we don't get a chance to eat it. We've got air conditioning, which is pretty much a necessity in Townsville here. But if you think that it's too warm in that moment, you don't have to. Even as the king, all you had was some bloke standing there with a fan waving that at you. In our modern world, for not much money, you can just press a button and you can regulate that temperature, whether it's up or down. those are all sort of amazing things just in pure day-to-day life, like the sensations you are experiencing moment to moment. If you ruled out those things, you think about how much money you would pay to have running water for the rest of your life. It's pretty much all the money that you have. You would pay anything for that.
Look, there's some other ones there too. Penicillin, is one.
That's exactly that's a great point.
Or any type of modern medicine. So our basic medical state-run health system is so much better than other countries for like even in modern times.
That's exactly right.
But certainly compared to Louis V, where I'm sure he had doctors, but they just didn't.
Well, wasn't there? I can't remember now. I might have made this up, but I'm sure there's something about like a king who stood on a rusty nail and died, and that was it. So he's the king, and he stood on a rusty nail. Yeah. Didn't have penicillin, couldn't get a tetanus shot, died from that. And how often do you hear about these things for people who had a toothache and then developed into an abscess and they couldn't eat and they wasted away and died. So, and there's sort of two parts to that. Is that number one, the medical advances that we have means that you are likely to live a much healthier life for a lot longer without any of those accidents sort of wiping you out. The second part of that I thought about as well is that, and we've talked about this before with if you go to a cemetery from 100 years ago, how many children do you see? So as a person in our modern world, it's very unlikely that you'll have to bury your kids. And if you think about all of the things that you're most scared of, there were how many people 100 years ago had 8 kids and 6 of them survived to adulthood.
Townsville's oldest cemetery is right at the end of my street. Yeah. So there's a nice park there. We take the kids for a walk through the cemetery. Yeah. And 100 years ago, you saw there's just graves everywhere with children dying of disease in early age. So that sort of, and that's just 100 years ago. I mean that points out for me that being born now in modern times, like how different your life expectancy is just by virtue of the fact that there's now medicine for almost anything.
Yes, exactly.
So again, I say, what's the point of it all? Well, the other one that I'd add too that you don't have on the list is, so I'm very fair skinned, and my wife has red hair and fair skin. She's from Irish ancestry. Yeah. My son Richie has red hair and fair skin, and my daughter Margot has fair skin. Sun cream.
Yes.
Is up on the list there.
I could do a list.
Exist.
If we looked around us right now, we could come up with 500 things off the top of our head that we just go, this is exceptional. This is an amazing addition to our quality of life. And we just wouldn't have had it even the richest person, most powerful person 500 years ago would not have had that. Even if you think about things around our cultural legal system. So the fact that we basically have freedom of speech and action and thought now. We can effectively, as long as it's not impacting us, we can do and say sort of whatever we want. 500 years ago, if you were the king, not only, even you had to worry about saying or doing the wrong thing and the king next door to you coming over and wiping out your everyone who's got anything to do with you. So, we've got rule of law. If you own things, it's a fairly safe bet that no one is going to come into your life and take those things from you. You can rely on some sort of system and rule of law there. These are all things that I think it's the water that we swim in, and so we take it for granted that this is just how it is. But it's not long ago that these were the norm, and this wasn't the thing. And so, I guess the point of it all to me is not, like I say, it's not to say throw your hands up and go, well, we might as well just live on the age pension. But it's just that I think as you travel through your day-to-day life, just becoming aware of all those things, and that's a thought experiment that I've been running is that thing of, if I was a king 500 years ago, how many of the things in my day-to-day life am I taking for granted that even the richest, most powerful person in the world 500 years ago, they would have given everything they have for what I've got right now. And so, yes, you want to do everything you can to make sure that you're living the best retirement possible. You want to do everything you can to make sure you're not going to run out of money in retirement and that you're not going to have to drastically change your lifestyle. But any lifestyle that you live now is going to be vastly better than the richest people from other eras. And so don't get caught up in that trap, I would say, of comparing yourself to the people around you or to the richest people in our modern era. It's much easier to be happy and to be grateful if we can just get in the habit of looking around and really thinking about how good we've got it right now.
Interesting theory, Dallas.
Thanks for listening.
Thank you for listening to the Money Over 50 podcast with Money Over 50 financial advisors. We look forward to catching up again soon.